risks. My name is Mamweti, if you haven't met me before. I head up the events products cluster, which consists of a number of events because we're I2 and we love to make sure that we're covering all of your bases in terms of specialist liability. In this particular seminar, we're going to be focusing on event liability and the digital frontier that we're heading into in terms of our products offering for events. So within this, we are introducing EazEvent, which is the name of the digital products that we have. I think it's been about a month now that we've actually gone live, but this session really is to introduce you to the platform, how you can be onboarded as a broker, solutions for your clients, and essentially where we're headed in terms of our innovation in offering specialist liability products. I stand beside my esteemed colleagues who have gone down this journey before, because digital is not new to I2. We've got Candace Toprick, who debuted my solution a few years ago. This is your personal cyber liability offering. Lwando Twane and Ryan van der Koolwyk, who offer Cyber I2 Go, which is an SME offering for cyber liability. Gail Bosch, who offers Arts 30-day transit, as well as art and collectibles in terms of the digital offering for I2. And as well as Melita Turling, who has come up with a revolutionary product, Sure Thing, which is also available as a digital offering. And next in line is EazEvent. So I'm very lucky to have seen these products really do well and transform our markets in a very specific and niche way, which is the I2 way. And now we're making it easy, available, and accessible to you and your clients to get event liability insurance. So if you have any other questions about those other digital products, please do reach out to us, reach out to your business developer who you may have a relationship with, or an I2 underwriter, or perhaps visit i2.co.za to get a bit more information. But being that this is where we're headed, we've got our foot firmly in the future for I2 special risks. We want to make all of these digital offerings available to everyone. So whenever you inquire about one, please do make sure to inquire about the other. Today, though, we're going to focus on introducing EazEvent. So currently on your TV screens, in your diary, or maybe saved as a ticket that you've purchased in your inbox for your email. Currently, we're seeing a lot of movement within the entertainment space. We've got the Summer Olympics on in Paris. In a couple of weeks, we will have the finale for Miss South Africa, where beauty meets brains. If you're a tech person, a gamer, and into sort of geek culture, you can converge at the Rage Expo, which is happening in November. Something after my own heart personally is the South African Cheese Festival, which is coming up in September. Brokers on the line, you'll be very familiar with the FIA Intermediary Awards, which is happening on the 15th of August. And in December, a nostalgic 90s rock band, the Goo Goo Dolls, will be touring 3 cities in South Africa as part of their international tour, doing the rounds, bringing their nostalgic music. And so what do all of these experiences have in common? They all require event liability cover. As an event organizer, it is crucial that you make sure that you have insurance in place to take care of all of the unforeseen circumstances that may occur during your organized event. And in this way, it's impossible to look beyond your risk management to not factor in the insurance cover. So whether it's of the scale of the Olympics or whether it's your children's school choir function, some of the consideration you'll have when organizing your events is the insurance. So, for example, if it's a beauty queen who's in 6-inch heels who may trip over an untethered cable at the back of Miss South Africa, you're going to need the medical extension in terms of public liability. At the Cheese Festival, you're going to need food and drink consumption cover. As an example, at the Kirsten Bosch version of the Goo Goo Dolls tour, you're going to need spread of fire cover as well. All of these covers are part of the event liability offering, and you need to make sure that your clients have access to the comprehensive cover that we have to offer at I2 Special Risks. So why is it important that you need event liability cover? The Sports and Recreation and Events Act of 2010 mandates event liability cover in most cases to safeguard the well-being of attendees. A lot of the people on the line would have recalled that in 2001, there was an unfortunate disaster at the Soweto Derby between Pirates and Chiefs, where 43 people unfortunately lost their lives due to a stampede. Now, thankfully, we have a government. At that time, the government was able to look at this disaster and put measures in place to make sure that attendees and spectators of events are taken care of and that their safety is made a priority. But this is not unique to South Africa. I've put some examples of unfortunate incidents that have happened at international events as well. For example, in 2021, Travis Scott also had a number of people passing away at his concert called Astroworld, which was called by a crowd surge. And as this headline says, a deadly risk that lurks at all mass gatherings. Recently, we've seen at the Mexican elections, a stage collapse occurred, which resulted in a number of people passing away as well. So this is the reasoning why event liability is mandated in South Africa, to make sure that, number one, as the event organizer, you've secured as much of the risk management that you can possibly incur. But at the same token, as an attendee, you want to know that your event organizer has made sure to prioritize the security and the well-being of the people at the events that you're attending. What does EazEvent cover for you? So EazEvent by iTOO shields you against claims from guests, spectators, and attendees. It also provides cover specific to your event's unique risks, such as large crowds, rowdy behavior, crowd control issues, unstable structures, and potential accidents. As mentioned in the examples before of the music festivals and the political rally, things do happen, whether it's too many people have arrived without the necessary ticketing information, or perhaps an unforeseen event in terms of a collapse of a stage could occur. And this cover allows you to make sure that when the claims come from those potential attendees who have been affected by this, you have the necessary cover in place. What are the particular covers for event liability? Third-party bodily injury, loss or damage to third-party property, spread of fire, food and drink consumption, legal defense costs, and emergency medical expenses. This is the basis of the event liability cover, but it's obviously all-encompassing in terms of the extensions that we provide as well. So should you receive a claim from an attendee who has suffered a misfortune at your event, you as the event organizer will be able to use your cover in order to legally defend yourself, or to pay out the specific amount required in terms of the claim. Like our general liability products as a whole, it's the slip and trip and the unforeseen circumstances that will happen at the events that you're mostly looking after. But as mentioned, for things, for example, like markets, fetes, the cheese festival as an example, you will need specific cover for things like food and drink consumption. We've also got other policy extensions, including products liability and employers liability that you can look into. But the before mentioned covers are the ones that are the basis for the event liability cover. Some of the extensions that I just mentioned: wrongful arrest and defamation, statutory defense cost, venue damaged if rented or leased, collapse of temporary structures, and claims preparation costs. When you're organizing an event, there's so many aspects which are important, including, for example, if tents are being hired, if there are fairground rides, the general area that you're in. For example, if it's a wooded area, perhaps you're in a public space where your event is. All of those factors are pertinent to why you as an event organizer need to have a proper event management plan and risk management mitigations, which include having the correct cover, which is what we offer at iTOO Special Risks, which is event liability. So why EazEvent? As iTOO, we owe our brokers expert service always, which means quick turnaround times and customer satisfaction. In exploring the digital realm, we've realized that often with event organizers, a lot of the stuff happens at last minute notice. And it's not because of poor planning necessarily, it's just because there's a lot of compliance and regulatory information that is needed when organizing your event. An example of this is a JOC certificate. So that's a Joint Office Committee certificate, to make sure that your plans are in place, the logistics are together, and the risk management is in place. And in order to get your JOC certificate, you have to supply your event liability insurance. So with the last minute nature of requiring some of these certificates and risk management facilitation, it does happen at a last minute notice at a lot of the time. And what we're trying to now transform within getting your event liability cover is offering this on the digital platform as well, so that it will be instantaneous that your client is able to receive an event liability policy. So digital or bust, the ability to purchase cover in your own time at your own pace will be a game changer. Say it's Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. and your client, who is an event organizer, had said they urgently need event liability cover for their event that happens the next day. What will be a greater process for you to enjoy is to be able to buy the insurance policy digitally, which is what we're offering. You as a broker can add value to your clients by not having to panic that the email has reached the iTOO underwriter late. Perhaps we're in Pretoria at the time doing a broker training or having a broker meeting and are en route back to Joburg. If your client urgently needs the event liability policy to submit to the City of Joburg office, you have the option by having your own unique broker token to be able to, number one, get a quote, and number two, get a policy that will be able to get your clients the event liability cover. The broker is as important in the digital process as they would be in any traditional quoting method. Whether giving clients access to your unique link or quoting on their behalf, ultimately you are still facilitating a painless process and making sure the client is receiving a quality product. Why we're mentioning this is obviously we value our brokers a lot at iTOO, which is the reason we always try to bring you first in line in terms of our product offerings. So outside of the traditional process where you would download a proposal form, have your client complete and sign the proposal form, and then send it to an iTOO underwriter, the value add of having the digital link that is unique to your brokerage is that if you're also perhaps in a time crunch with your clients, you can share your unique token with your clients for them to be able to complete the information themselves and receive a quote. But you also still have value as the broker in being able to facilitate the quote yourself. So you can give the link, or you can do it yourself and make sure that they have the quotes timeously and instantly in time for them to submit all of their documentation for the City of Joburg. Last minute requests for JOC certificates will always be a factor, but we want to make it a thing of the past in terms of you not being able to get the cover in time. It is just part and parcel of event organization that this type of cover is necessitated. So being able to have the power in your own hands to be able to get the event liability cover is paramount. What kind of people would be coming to get this type of cover? So event organizers and suppliers are the main foray of clients that would enjoy the cover. But the types of events that this cover is applicable for are quite a few. For example, agri shows, art shows, conferences and exhibitions, food and wine festivals, as mentioned, mall activations, sports shows. Just this past Sunday, we had the 702 Walk the Talk. All of those types of events require event liability cover. So there's a wide array of scope, but you can always inquire with us as to what types of cover, what types of events your clients is needing to have cover for, and we can see then whether or not it's within our appetite as well. Does your event qualify? So for events lasting 1 to 4 days with fewer than 2,000 spectators, guests, or attendees, or a limit of 10 million Rand and under, based in South Africa, EazEvent will be the product for you. So, I mean, hopefully in the future, well, we plan on to, because we obviously want to be as accommodating as possible to our markets across all regions. But currently, the product is available for South African events exclusively. And we've put it at these caps so that we can have a pre-rated requirements as to the scope of the event. So if you have an event that is 4 days or longer, that will be then a referral back to the underwriter, who will still be able to quote to you. But it's important to use the digital tool so that we can also build up this data over time to understand what type of cover that your clients need, and also just the scale of the different types of events that are needed, that cover is needed for. So if you fit this criteria of the event lasting from 1 day to 4 days, with fewer than 2,000 spectators or attendees, this is actually the direct scope of cover the direct scope of events that we're looking to cover for EazEvent. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute so that Veredith and Stop Sharing can also just take you through the digital platform so that you can see the live experience as to what it would be like for you as the broker to receive to do a quote, as well as what it would take in terms of a time factor for you as the broker or your clients to produce a quote and a policy.
Thank you, Mamweti. Good morning, everyone. So the digital platform at iTOO, whether it's Sure Thing, My Solution, Events, All in One, all takes on the same structure where you've got a home, a products page, an about, FAQs, contact, buy insurance, and submit a claim. If you've been in the Sure Thing iTOOsday, you would notice that it looks very familiar. It's just that the landing page for each platform looks a little bit differently. So what is important about the digital platform? This is the test site, and so that is why it says uitdemoinsurance.com. So it's a demo site. It's not our live site. Our live site has the same kind of structure as Sure Thing and My Solution. It starts with a product name. It says easeevent.thinkexpert.co.za. Just like we have surething.thinkexpert.co.za. So that is the construct. And then for every single broker, there is a equals and then what we call a token at the end. Now, this token identifies the brokerage. So if I say the broker is called Orange Brokers, then that would perhaps say Orange-1, Orange-2, Orange-3. So if I put an example on screen of what I'm talking about, the brokerage is called the Orange Broker. They've got a generic email address where that is called info@orange.co.za. And then they've got three AEs in the brokerage that sells event liability insurance. So it could be Sam, Janet, and Sipho. Now, Sam's token will be Orange-1, Janet's token will be Orange-2, and Sipho's token will be Orange-3. It's very important that the agent tokens and the generic email address is never the same, because then the system will try to send, if this email address was also Sam, then when Sam uses his token, it will try to send the mail to Sam twice, and the mail service will block it. So when we go back to the digital platform, it is important that this email address that displays at the top is a generic email address and not one of the AEs in the brokerage. The system will always send the notification and documentation to the potential client if it's a quote or when the policy is issued to the policyholder, but the brokerage generic email address will also get a copy of that email, as well as the agent whom the token belongs to. So if this token was Orange-1, then in my example on the PowerPoint slide, Sam would have received the email. So it's very important when you sign up to the digital platform and we ask for all the email addresses that this is clearly defined so that we can set you up properly. The next thing that displays is the contact number. So this is usually the switchboard number at the brokerage. And then the last thing is that we upload your logo so that when you send your link to the customer, it's clearly identifiable that they are engaging with Orange Brokers in the example, because you are selling the policy. Yes, Mamweti? Yes.
Sorry to disturb. Can you please reshare your screen? We can't see it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Reshare the digital platform. This one.
Yes.
Okay. Is it back on?
Back on. Just give me a few seconds and I'll check.
Can I continue?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, very good.
Please also
Okay,
just confirm in the Q&A if you can see Meredith's screen so that we can just flag it with her in case it happens again. Thank you.
Okay, so the bottom line is that this is the generic email address of the brokerage. This is your switchboard number, and then a logo in PNG format so that we can present the platform as if it belongs to you. So it's an out-of-the-box platform, just like with all our other products. And you can either send the link on to your customer base, or I'll explain to you how you can manage this process. You can either do the whole process from quote to fulfillment yourself, or you can do the quote process and the client can do the fulfillment process, or you can send the link to a customer that's in a hurry at 6 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. If you may be at the 19th hole, it was at the 18th hole on the golf course, then you can pass the link on and they can take out their insurance policy themselves. So it's on the homepage, we give a high-level description of the product. On the products page, there's a little bit more detail as per Momweti's presentation. On the About page, we just tell the customer about iToo, and if we click on the see our products, it takes the broker or the customer to iToo's website. Then on the FAQs page, we answer the commonly asked questions about event liability. The contacts page is out of the box. We have not seen this page used very much, but the idea is if you have somebody landing on your page through a Google search or a social media campaign and they have questions and they complete this contacts page, then it will send it to the generic email address that we have configured for the brokerage. The Submit a Claims page just talks about iToo's claims, and when you click on Submit a Claim, then it takes you to the notification page that iToo has recently launched that is for all our products, whether bought digitally or traditionally. And then I think the most important page is the Buy Insurance page. So apologies about the network, and it is the test environment. So what we try to do with a digital platform is we try to make it as easy as possible for the client to get a price. So all they have to do to get a quote from us, a quick quote in terms of a pricing to display, is select their event type, select the start date, let's just say the 3rd, select the number of participants, and then select the limit of indemnity. So even if your client has more than 2,000 participants or needs a 10,000 rand, more than 10 million limit or more than 4 days, we also encourage you to capture it here. It will trigger a message on screen that says your quote has to be reviewed, but please complete the process because the email lands in the event liability box. You get a copy of that referral, and that policy can then quickly be picked up by iToo to do a proper underwritten quote for more complex events. So, and it also provides us with data to see, but we've got quite a number of these type of events that are have got a 2 million rand limit required, but is usually 5 or 6 days. Then you select if this is acceptable to the client, then you continue and you put in the event name, you put in an event description, and you click on next. Then you capture the company details. The company registration number is mandatory, the VAT number not necessarily. You capture the address, the province, postal code, the contact person, your mobile phone number, and I will explain that in a minute, why it is so important. So if you want to capture the whole process, if you want to do the quote and the binding, then during the quote process, it's recommended that the broker completes their mobile phone number over here. Because when the client accepts the quote, you will click on the link in the email and it will ask you for an OTP. So if the broker wants to complete the whole process, then you complete your mobile phone number here. And then during the fulfillment process, you can update it to the event organizer's number. But in this example, I'm the event organizer in this example. The broker has added my number so that I can do the fulfillment, although the broker is completing the quoting process. Next, it gives you an overview of what you've completed on behalf of the client. And if you have them on the phone, you can verify and check with them. Then you can email the quote to the customer. And you will receive a copy of this quote. And you will see it displays a number over there. You can click here to save and exit. Then it takes you through the process again. And you can, for example, do a 2 million rand quote for the customer. They might ask you for different limits. And you will see it keeps all the information. The only thing that I've changed is the limit. It keeps all the customer information. So again, just like with SureThing, it allows you to generate multiple quotes for your customer. Then you can email the quote. And it now generates a new reference number. You can see that it's got, the previous one was 174, and this one is 175. So let's hope now that so you can see here that, okay, so the email is at least timely. So you can see that the email was, I received the email, and in this email, here's 74's quote schedule and a copy of the wording. So I can now look at this quote. I've received 74. I've decided R1 million cover is sufficient, and I click on this link in the email. I think it's now going to open in the Edge browser. Just want to keep my cell phone handy for the OTP. So if you want to control the whole process and you do the quote and the binding, then you would have entered your mobile phone number as the broker. You would have clicked on that link and the OTP would have gone to your email address. So I get an OTP that says, thank you for generating your EazEvent quote. Please input the following to finalize the buy insurance process. So I enter the OTP, ask it to validate the OTP. This is just for security and protecting information. So you can see it takes me back. You don't have to recapture anything. It just takes you through the process again. Perhaps you've misspelled information. Maybe the person isn't a Van Dyk DIJK, but a Van Dyk DYK, and the client has alerted to you to that. If this was your number, at this point, you can now change it to the event organizer's number, and then you get to the payments page. Now, the Ivory Light payments is a card payment, much the same as you would do on Takealot. I know it's not very popular with event organizers and companies that buy hole-in-one cover, because somebody has to approve the payment, and companies prefer to make EFTs. Not all SMEs have a card associated with their company, and big corporates generally don't have credit cards floating around. So we've added on the latest version of our digital platform the opportunity that you can pay by invoice, And that's basically a EFT payment. So I'm going to demonstrate this one because we have found with hole-in-one that's been in the round around for a while digitally, that this is the most common option that is used for hole-in-one. The declarations are ticked and state that you're not a robot. Often it pops up those traffic lights, motorcycles, but it does that very randomly, not every time. You click on Pay Now, and it will display the amount, and then you click on the Send Invoice button. And it will generate and send the invoice on email, which is basically the quote document that gets resent via email. You will notice that it puts the policy into a payment pending status. And the moment we receive the policy, we release it from the back end. So I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment. I'm going to release that policy, and then I'll show you what the email looks like. Here it is, manage. Just releasing the payment. And then I will reshare my screen. And I think we should have received. Here it says payment pending, because it's waiting for the payment to be made. And I've now received the payment, and it should send me an email that says your policy has been issued. If you look at the back end, you can see this policy has now been issued. If I show you the documentation here, the notification that was, we store copies of all the notifications, and this now should be the last one. If you view the body, it says, thank you for choosing EazEvents. And then here is the policy schedule and the wording for that policy. And that is our event liability product in a nutshell. Are there any questions, or can I quickly move on to hole-in-one?
We do have a few questions, Meredith. I thought maybe because it's a little bit of a new setup here with Town Hall, that I actually just answer the questions live as opposed to in the chat, just in case people haven't been able to scroll up to see all of the questions. So let me just scroll down as well for as many as I've responded to, just to say we'll answer them live. So Sarita, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly, says, will it be possible to request that the quote is only sent to the broker to check for accuracy prior to releasing it to the client?
So that is why we designed the process. So you as a brokerage decide how you want to use it. So if you want the quote to go directly to you only and not to the customer, then when you're on the company's page, you complete one of your other AE's email addresses, because remember, you are using selling token, say Orange One. So the system is already going to email it to sam@orange.co.za. Now, if you enter sam@orange.co.za in the company details, your mail server might think this is spam, because this email comes from a generic email address and it tries to send it to Sam twice. So then rather put in Janet@Orange's email address, your mobile phone number, then Janet and you will get the copy of the email, and then you will get the OTP. Then when you've checked that the quote is fine and the customer has accepted it, then you click on the link, you put in the OTP that's been sent to your mailbox, and then during that fulfillment process, you can change the Janet@Orange email address and your mobile phone number to that of the event organizer, so that they get the policy documents at the end of the process, so that you don't have to forward all of this, because else these details will print on the policy schedule, and you don't want your details to print on the event organizer's policy schedule. I hope that answers the question. So we've got, we can share the process, but each brokerage decides how they use it. Some brokers prefer to send the link, the client does quote and fulfillment. Some brokers prefer to do the quote and the client does the fulfillment. And some brokers prefer to do the last one that I've explained. 80% of our brokers do the quote and they let the client do the fulfillment. And there's about 10% that either let the client do everything or the broker, and the other 10% where the broker wants to do everything.
Yeah, and I think, Sarita, the most, and everyone else on the line, the most important part of all of this is to just get onboarded in the first place, so that you can receive your unique token, to make sure that you can at least start and see what works better for you. There's some clients that you may feel comfortable giving them the link, but if on a sort of uniform or universal basis, if you'd prefer to handle it yourself, that option is there. I think maybe just playing around in the initial stages will be key, but getting onboarded, I think, is the most important thing, so that you can see what works for you. Yes. And we'll chat about the process of getting onboarded a little bit. Another question, Meredith, was to say, are we able to quote for events that host way more than 2,000 guests? So I'd mentioned in the previous slide, before you'd started the demo, that the criteria is currently 1 to 4 days, no more than 2,000 spectators or attendees, and for a max limit of 10 million. So the reason why we've started it this way is basically those are what we call your vanilla events. So those are the events that probably don't require that much risk mitigation or sort of everyday events that happen. As iTOO, we definitely are able to quote for you for more than 10 million Rand limits of indemnity, but particularly for the platform, we've put this designation for the type of events that are applicable for the platform. You are able to still use the platform to quote for more than 2,000. What will happen is that it will trigger a referral to an underwriter. So whether it's myself or Vuyo or Doris, within the team, we will get the referral and then continue on with your quotes accordingly. So regardless, you will always receive a quote for iTOO, whether or not it fits within those parameters. But we're able to say that you're instantly able to receive your quote and or policy, if you choose to bind, via the platform, if it meets that criteria of 10 million Rand, 2,000 spectators, and then 1 to 4 days long.
Yeah, so I've entered more than 2,000 here. And what happens is, on the next page, it says we need to review some of the answers you've provided. So what we want you to do in this instance is not to abandon the process, but continue with it until a reference number is generated for you, because you will then get an email from us, as well as the events team will get an email that says referral has been triggered. We are checking some of the answers you've provided, and then we can pick up, or you can even forward that to the events team if it's urgent and say, we've done this one. The reason we would like this information is because it creates a data picture for us. If we find that we have a lot of 10 million turnover events that do have more than 2,000 participants, then we can start looking at those and see how can we actually have these ones bind on the platform. What does the risk look like? And that is the reason why we'd like you to continue with this, even though a referral gets triggered. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. And if any of it doesn't make sense, definitely just reach out to the team regardless, and we will take you through the process. So we still have underwriters, because that's an important part of what we do, is to provide expert underwriting service and looking at every risk uniquely. The portal just helps us to define which are the events that we kind of can pre-rate, because we have a good understanding of the scope of the event, but you're always welcome to reach out to an underwriter. We're using the platform as well, just to help us understand the industry and your needs a lot better.
Yeah.
We had another question from Lucy. which is, are we able to request a more competitive quote should the client not accept our quote? So Lucy, I think the parameters around that are a little bit depending on the circumstances. So say, for example, your client has requested a 10 million rand limit of indemnity specifically. There is an option of quoting multiple limits as well. So you, through the platform, you can get multiple quote options so that you can see which premiums are actually maybe more affordable for the clients. So you can quote 2 million, 5 million, and 10 million so that you can give them the different limits and see the applicable premiums. And that, I think, will be a factor as well in terms of reduction of costs. But in particularly, if you're feeling like this is a bit tight, you can always reach out to the email address attached, as well as the iTOO underwriters, to see what we can do. Because I think a discount is usually applicable to what type of event is happening. So we would need to have just a little bit of sight as to what are the activities of the event, how many people would be attending, and what is feasible in terms of the pricing, depending on that unique event.
Yes.
Okay, another question is, should we include setup and pack-up days in the total number of event days? If the liability is necessary for the setup and pack-up days, meaning tents are being erected, or there is unique displays for those particular events where you feel like the liability is necessary, or part of your risk management plan, the liability is necessary for those days, please do include those days. Because wherever your exposure is in terms of potential claims coming about from the eventing period, that is when you need the cover. So setup and pack-up days ideally should be included, but it depends on the style of events and the amount of setup or unique setup that is required for those particular events. Okay, another question is, can you quote for a sole proprietor? They do not have a company registration number. This is a great question because it kind of delineates the difference between digital and underwriting via proposal form. So in that way, ordinarily we'd like to quote for event companies because they have the experience and they've got the backing of understanding the requirements for an event. So if the sole proprietor specifically is an eventing expert themselves, that can be part of the motivation for us being able to provide that. The reason why it becomes a bit of a gray area for sole proprietors or an individual, say Mamweti applying for event liability cover as an individual, is that sort of errs towards the side of a personal lines policy. And quoting for an individual would be individual insurance as opposed to for a company, which then would be the liability for the event organizer in that respect. So I think rather put through the referral for the query to say this is a sole proprietor. Ordinarily, our preference is to quote for companies because we're not providing personal lines insurance with any event liability. Because we've got a few questions, Meredith, if you could kindly just bear with us before the next portion of the demo. What is our risk appetite on mining risk events, highly unionized, for example, a big memorial service event or opening of a mine celebration within the event department? And does it matter whether the main liability policy is not placed with iTOO, or does it affect the rating in any other way, whether the main policy is placed with iTOO or not? So Linda Woodley, I think if you could please drop your email address as well, just so I can send you an email post this session. But thank you for this example because it also creates a bit of a scope as to what type of events are applicable for this EazEvent digital policy and which ones need to be uniquely underwritten. So mining risk events form part of our specific risks exceptions, which means usually if you're saying, for example, highly unionized, we tend to not quote for political events as well as events including trade unions. We'll go through the appetites and specific risks in later slides once we finish with the demo. But this type of an event is a bit too large of a scale to quote on the EazEvent platform, so a referral would be necessary so that we can look at the unique aspects of the event. If you wouldn't mind also just dropping your email address so I can send you an email after this. If the insured only has an event next year, can I use the system to quote? Meredith, if you wouldn't mind answering this question in terms of the calendar that's available on the platform. Sorry, you're on mute?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So yes, you can quote, but I think only up to 90 days in advance.
So in this instance, because we're just about to hit August, 90 days is still within the realm of 2024. So when they put in that date, it would trigger a referral for 2025.
It won't trigger a referral if we go back to the platform and we put in. You see, you cannot scroll further than 90 days in advance on the event start date.
Okay.
Yeah. It is something, if there's a requirement to have it further in the future, we can amend this rule. It's not a problem. So it's not that it will trigger a referral, it will just not allow you to go further, but we can update the system to allow, in the case of events, to quote 6 months in advance.
Thanks. Before we move on with the presentation, we'll just answer one last question and then we've got a Q&A at the end still. How long does the process take if you're purchasing the policy via EFT for iTOO to allocate the payments and release the policy? If I make an immediate payment now, what is the turnaround time for the payments to show on your side and release the policy and for me to have the cover? Thanks, Imelda, for that question.
Yeah, so it's not about seeing the payment in our bank account. If you send the proof of payment, we copy the proof of payment into the system, and that process takes about 5 minutes. So it's perhaps if it's really urgent, because it's a lastminute.com quote request that you've received, which is the nature of these policies, then maybe perhaps a phone call to Mamweti and her team to say the proof of payment is in your inbox. Can you please release for payment?
And I think that creates also the nuances or the benefits to digital versus traditionally quoting, is that although this is still a possibility depending on everyone's different circumstances, when you're downloading a proposal form, requesting the clients complete it, then sending it on to the underwriter, any kind of circumstances can be applicable that day in terms of when the underwriter is able to at least acknowledge your quote and provide terms for you. At least with digital, you would have seen the quotes, the clients could have accepted the quotes and made the payments, which fast tracks the whole thing, as opposed to needing a human being to be able to be available in order to make the policy live and to send to your clients within that very tight time frame that you need it. So in that, although it's always great to have the team available and we do try our best to address your quote requests as quickly as possible and quick turnaround times, this just takes it to the next level of you being able to receive everything almost instantaneously. Carrie's just asked for us to post the link as the screen, I think was just maybe as we're going through the process, a little bit tough to see, but we are going to share this recording on our YouTube page, which obviously then will be able to expand everything. So just go to iTOO Special Risks YouTube page. Within the day or so, we'll be able to have the recording up, and then you can go through the process again and just have a slower viewing of the process, Carrie. Okay, I'm going to just leave it there for now for the questions. You are more than welcome to continue putting questions in the chats. I just want to continue on with the understanding of the rest of the applicable portions of the policy.
Okay, so within Mamweti's product space, she's got EazEvent, and then she's also got Hole-in-One.
Oh, sorry, should I stop sharing, Verdith?
Oh,
are you going on to Hole-in-One? Just
yeah.
check. So I should stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Stop sharing then.
So so within our space, we've also got Hole-in-One. So I am not going to, for the sake of time, demo the whole platform, but it again works in exactly the similar fashion. You can see that this looks the same. It's the content that changes per product. You have the same menu items. If you click on buy insurance, you have to complete the Hole-in-One information that you'll recognize is very similar to the prop form. So I'm just going to, for the sake of time, just quickly demo it up to where you get a price. Select your whole number, select stroke, select par, put in the players. the distances.
Just checking that everyone can see Meredith's screen. Will you just write in the chat in the Q&A in case you can't?
And with Hole-in-One, we do have a voucher promo code functionality, but this should be negotiated with Mamweti's team, and voila, there you've got a price. So it's a very quick way to give the customer a price, because you can go back, play with all the different variables, the whole number, the stroke, the number of players, the distance from the tee to the green. So if I up this to 100,000,
Meredith, they can't see the screen at the moment. If you wouldn't mind resharing, please.
Okay. I don't know what these teams do business today. So can you all see the screen now?
These are on your side?
Everybody see?
Comments still cannot see the screen.
Let's try again. Screen. I wonder if I go specifically to window. And now?
I can see it on my side. We'll just wait to see a couple of comments. Okay, so Juliet says, yep. Gail says we can see, and Sarita says as well. Okay, so I think we're back on track.
Yeah. So for example, I will just reiterate what the Hole-in-One platform allows the broker to do is to play around with the variables. So for example, you can put in 100,000 Rand, get a premium. Then you can put in 50,000 Rand and get a premium. And whilst you're on the line with the customer, you can quickly get to a number that suits them by changing the variables. There might also be 3 or 4 holes at a specific golf course that qualifies for the hole-in-one criteria, and then you can also change the parameters for each hole and quickly get to a premium stage. And then the rest of the process is exactly like EazEvents. Once the premium is accepted, it goes through the process. You record the company details. You can do multiple quotes like we did on EazEvents. So it is the platform works the same irrespective of the product. It's just the product information that changes. So everything is the same. You first quote, you can do multiple quotes. Then the customer selects the quote, clicks on the link, receives the OTP, puts it in, does the fulfillment process. Or, like I've explained previously, the broker can do the whole process. So the basis of the platform stays the same. It's this product-specific information that changes between EazEvent and Hole-in-One, but the process remains the same. And that's all from me from a platform demo point of view.
Thanks so much, V. I just want to put some additional emphasis on the fact that you're not going to iTOO.co.za and going to digital platform just to sort of create a picture there. As a brokerage, so you use Orange Brokers as an example before, you submit your company logo and disclosure notice to have your own unique token. So you're more than welcome to share it within your own platforms, whether it be on your website, your social media, whatever it may be, to attract clients to get instant events quotes. But all of that is associated with your brokerage as opposed to iTOO exclusively. So if you're going to be sharing your unique token with your clients, it's not associated with any other broker but yourself, because it would be your unique token that we create. And we'll send out some information as well as to how you can get onboarded. Our team does that internally, and that doesn't take long at all. But I'm just going to share, just to zoom past the last couple of screens, very self-explanatory as well, in terms of the products offering. Okay, so we've gone through the demo, just so that you understand, as with everything, the policy or the product is in line with our policy wording. And so in line with that, the digital offering will mirror our traditional offering. What we don't cover as part of these events are extreme motorsports, so things like spinning, drifting, and drag racing. Fireworks, bonfires, and pyrotechnics are also not automatically included within the cover. Aviation activities other than ground events at air shows. So, of course, there's always usually markets and other type of activations happening at air shows, but we don't cover the aviation activities as part of our standard event liability cover. Shooting ranges for guns or archery, as well as paintball, will be excluded. Rock climbing, abseiling, or bungee jumping, those riskier types of activities form part of the specific risks exclusion. And on the platform, as part of their frequently asked questions and product information, we'll also just share a list there of the specific risks that we will not be including as part of this cover. In terms of policy exceptions, although this is an all-in-one product in terms of event liability specifically, meaning there'll be public liability, food and drink consumption, third-party bodily injury, property damage, and the rest of the extensions mentioned earlier. What is excluded is that this policy does not include cancellation insurance. A couple of months ago, we did an iTOOsday on contingency, so you can go to our YouTube page to re-look at that if you missed it. The case for contingency was about the differences between cancellation insurance and liability insurance. This cover is exclusively for liability. We also don't automatically include cover for participants. So as the broker engaging with the client, you'll always just request the waiver or indemnity form that the participants are expected to sign, just so you can understand what cover is there for participants as a whole, and you can engage with our team if you have further questions regarding the participants, but it's not an automatic inclusion. Advertising, professional services, and aviation and marine, as mentioned, are also excluded. So just so that there's synergies and a lot of cross-pollination that can happen across our product lines, but in particular, if you have the event liability link, you might as well just give yourself access to the hole-in-one link so that you'll be able to quote for all types of events cover, including hole-in-one. Meredith just did a mini demo. I know that the screen wasn't sharing a little bit earlier, but we will still have product information that we can send out about our digital offerings. So we'll make sure that to get that out to you all. But, you know, two birdies, one stone, you might as well have access to everything that we have available. Okay, so I'm just going to check again if we have additional questions on the Q&A. Sorry, we are a couple of minutes over time. If you have 5 minutes to spare. Okay, some of you have said that you're jumping off. Thank you so much for making the time. Yes, the recording will be made available on our YouTube page. I'm just not sure if I missed any questions, but if I haven't, you are more than welcome to email us. What I'll share now is the contact details for the team so that you can see those. So you can contact us at iTOO. The event liability team consists of Vuyo, Doris, and myself. And then Jamie is our hole-in-one expert, but contact either one of our team with regards to any of the suite of products that we have under the events umbrella. And these are our email addresses and contact details for you to take down. You can also go to the iTOO website where those details remain on a general basis. But thank you so much, everyone, for making the time. We're very excited about this product. We're very excited for it to be a game changer within your space in turnaround times, in terms of access to information, and being able to expand your client base with event liability. We've got other product offerings, including ticket refund guarantee, that also have great synergies with event liability. So you're more than welcome to query that with us as to how these products intersect and how one can benefit the other. And hopefully we'll have more webinars and more sessions to be able to provide information about the whole event suite of products. Okay, so if there's no other questions, you have our email addresses to ask us direct questions, and hopefully we can share all that information. This session will be uploaded onto our YouTube page as mentioned, and we'll see you next week, Tuesday at 10 a.m. for yet another product offering from iTOO. So thank you so much to everyone on the line, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Meredith.
Thanks, Mamweti. Cheers, everyone.
Cheerio. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks, Anelda. Thanks, Lisa. We'll see you next week. Nice to hear from you, Ernst. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, everyone. Send us a note if you did have any further questions, but otherwise have a great rest of your day.